Hello everyone and welcome to the stream. Unfortunately, our DM is already fumbling his papers tonight.
Oh, you son of a bitch. God.
Tell God.
Do you do this to me?
I mean, at this point, it's just...
Eric is actually dead. Oh, gee.
Oh, okay. Anyways, I am Razim. We are here with Rooms and Reptiles, Dungeons and Dragons. I'll leave it to the Fumblebird now.
Alright, first of all, rude.
Really? you're just gonna
Yeah,
spell him out like this?
He's being rude.
You're gonna die, man.
Anyways, last time on Rooms and Reptiles, the party fought valiantly to thwart the efforts of Saint Gregoricus, the Christmas Lich, to spread his gifts of cheer and all-around death and punishment for naughty children. In the ensuing fight, Rock was unfortunately diagnosed with death, but thankfully has gotten better.
I got better.
I got better. I got better. You see, we can't make it 5 minutes into a D&D session without referencing Monty Python. Anyways, now
Because Monty
party has
Python
some time
is simply the best movie ever made.
I'm saying the recap, Eric's.
Are you
Now-
sure? Did you find your notes?
Why can't I server mute you? There you go.
Because...
Now, the party has some time to complete their Midwinter's Day celebrations. Hopefully, they won't be interrupted again.
We'll see.
We done?
We'll
Okay.
see.
So, you all have finished fighting with the Christmas Lich and are in the midst of recovering. Rock, you are currently recovering from being dead, and you're feeling pretty tired, if you're going to be completely honest. All of you are feeling a little rough. I know some of us were below 10 HP at some point during the fight. So yeah. What are you all going to be doing? That's pretty good.
Yeah, I got a little distracted by nostalgia.
Mhm.
I'm gonna go look for a chocobo.
Really
Just-
now?
Just add it to my collection.
You can do so with disadvantage, since you are very tired.
Yep, I think I got level 2 fatigue.
Yeah, you got 2 levels of fatigue, which means absolutely everything is done at disadvantage.
What do I roll for chocobo?
I don't know.
I would like
it's a
to
DC
try and find...
35 nature check.
Nature?
Yep.
Oh, you chose something Rock is not anti-smart at.
It does not make the DC, unfortunately.
Dang.
You can't just keep rolling.
I made
Okay,
it!
see, like, that nat 1 in the beginning is an ill omen for this entire game. Rock is going to... he's gonna spend the day resting. He has something he wants to do in mind, but he's gonna needs to be at full strength before he does that.
Okay. You will be sleeping. Alright.
He'd probably be sleeping in the same stall as Ember, as she got spooked with him falling down.
Alright. Ember eventually does return back into the material plane. She kind of leans down, noticing your. Actually, you weren't. There aren't very many physical wounds on you. It seems that it was able to just suck out your life force, and Ember kind of leans down and gives you a kind of a lick on the neck. And it's you feel a brief bit of pain as Ember's mouth is extremely hot.
Well, it's pain. Better to feel pain than not when he was floating in the sky. He would he would just smile and say like reassuring words along the points of like, yeah, it wasn't bad.
Oh my.
Dad's got to try harder next time, but very tiredly.
All right. So, how about you, Erix? What are you doing?
I am looking for a chocobo.
You're looking for a chocobo?
With a roll of 36.
All right, you would like to go looking for ostriches. And I don't think you have a plus 22.
Chocobo.
All right. As high of a roll and as forged of a roll that is, you are unable to find chocobos as they unfortunately do not exist at this point in time.
Damn. I would like to begin experimenting to make one. Can we say,
so?
Can I like conjure one? Because it came to me as if from a dream. So, technically, it's kind of like having seen it. So, I would like to reproduce that. And of course, because it's from my dream, it's going to be extra powerful and invincible.
Okay.
Yes.
How many 10th level spell slots do you have?
I will exercise my organized play director power of all of them.
How about I say no? What would you do if I said no?
I would be disappointed and sad, and I would remind you that my birthday was Sunday, and you still haven't given me a present.
My dad works at Nintendo.
Was your birthday actually Sunday?
Yes, it was.
Oh, happy birthday.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Fortunately, I still cannot allow a chocobo yet.
I like
As
to
they
get.
as they still do not exist at this point.
How about a Tobi Kadachi?
Don't know what that is.
It's a thing. It's a monster from Monster Hunter World. It's like a lizard / flying squirrel / lightning / adorableness.
Okay.
I've got art of Kale drawn as one.
Oh.
I see.
Here, let me post it in the channel here.
Okay.
Where did it go? It's singles. There he is. There it is. See? That is a Toby ferret. But you get the general gist.
Yeah.
I also have a little figurine of one sitting on my microphone stand. He's adorable. Also, for those on stream, here you go.
Yeah, I figure you better show it to him.
There is the adorableness of Toby Kale.
Toby Kale.
That sounds like a movie star. Not like like one that was like high end in the 90s and then just kind of pitter pat it out in like the late 2000s and does daytime TV talk show.
You have this strangely thought out.
I do. I don't know what that says about me.
Sully, what are you doing?
Probably like trying to make sure all the kobolds are okay, because a lich attacked our home.
That's an understandable effort. It seems, thankfully, that none of the kobolds aside from you were hurt. It's almost as soon as any alert or any sort of conflict that the kobolds are very aware that they can't really handle on their own. They pretty much just scatter, heading to the either the underground storeroom or many of the small burrow-like tunnels that they've dug out. So none of them are really hurt. And it seems that their nerves are starting to harden up as they're getting used to the idea of these dangerous events happening around them, for better or for worse.
Does seem to happen a lot, doesn't it?
Especially with this group.
Yeah.
They would have been better with the fungus caves.
Yeah. What about you, Erix? You actually doing something? Erix?
I think his ferret ate him.
Yeah.
There, now you should be able to hear me.
Yeah?
My microphone randomly decided it wasn't going to work anymore.
Ah.
I am going to... I have no idea.
You have no idea?
I will groom Kale.
You gotta groom Kale?
Yes.
Probably a good idea. His fur is just ratty and all gnarled up.
I will sit there and brush him and bathe him and
Love him and call him
etc.
George.
Alright. He's looking fly.
Awesome.
Alright. So, as night finally, I'm sorry, as dawn finally, well, dawns above the jungle canopy, bathing the camp in very welcome sunlight, the kobolds slowly get back into the routine of being on guard shift, on sleeping, and basically doing all the various chores that you've been teaching them to do on their own for the past month or so that you've been here. All of you are now fully rested, of course. Let me do that for you, since that is an option. Fully rested. Let me real quick delete the Lich. Remove him. Alright. So, the sun sets, and the thick jungles around you and the camp itself is plunged into darkness. Normal plunging into darkness, of course. Nothing wrong seems to be happening at the moment.
You are making way too much emphasis on how normal everything is, which makes me think that everything is not at all normal and we're gonna have trouble.
What? I mean, nothing's been normal the past few days, so a bit of normality is kind of out of the ordinary, and very welcome still.
You're
So
just
you got a full day ahead of you. What are you doing? Ray and Cobalt seem to be absorbed into a strange idea, a strange sort of workshop project, as they seem to kind of seclude themselves into their workshop for the imminent future.
Did I get any mail?
Did you sent a few letters out? I remember. Let me look through those letters.
And possibly receiving a letter from someone.
Mm-hmm.
That may or may not happen.
I believe you have 3 letters out right now that you're still waiting on a response from.
Mm-hmm.
1 to Shuluth, I believe, right?
Yes.
Yes, you're still not getting a response from that.
No, I didn't think so.
Yeah. 1 to the library for info on Motza, the resort.
Mm-hmm. And return the book.
Yep, and return with the book in it. 1 to the Adamantine Smith for a battle dress.
Yep.
And
With
I
many
imagine
pockets.
I imagine it's going to be kind of like a Roman legionnaire like skirt sort of thing.
Either that or like a kilt.
All right. I can see that.
Yeah, I kind of saw more of a kilt than a legionnaire. Just kind of fits his personality more. He screams more of like a kilt kind of kobold.
Mm-hmm. You've actually received a letter back from the library.
Ooh.
It reads, "Dear esteemed reader, Mr. Rock, we thank you for returning one of the books which you have out at the moment. While we are concerned that the package seemingly arrived in our break room out of thin air, we are still thankful. And that we are somewhat in doubt that this letter will reach you, seemingly as we don't have the same magical transport abilities that it seems that you do, but we are faithful in the return address provided. As for your request, we did some researching on the name Motza and came up with little more than a few entries in a travel guide by a famous gnomish man, which read that it is a wonderful place to relax should you have the coin pouch to support it. It did little to mention exactly how to get there, but this is explained by the fact that Motza is described as finding its clients rather than its clients finding it. Although we are personally skeptical of how the resort maintains such a cash flow when so little people have even heard of it. Kindest regards, the library. I don't have a name for the library guy. The Library of Delphuntal. And it has a watermark.
Okay. He's gonna growl at the fact that it's like, well, did they say what the name of the gnomish man was?
They did. Tick-Tuck Thumblestruck.
Tick-Tuck
Thumblestruck.
Okay. Alright. So he's gonna like in the part of like it went into the break room, Rock was just like shrugging to himself. But he's gonna cast Unseen Servant because that's who he gets to write his letters because no one can read his handwriting, and he's took since the incident with the floor plan. He's no longer to write on paper anymore.
He is not allowed unless Sully writes the letter for him.
Exactly, and he's gonna write to, it's just gonna be like a whim. He's gonna write a letter to Tick-Tuck Thumberstuck, addressing to the finite points of, hey, do you know or have known or where it is of this hot spring Motza? Am happy to pay if you're able to give me information or locations of its current, past, and future locations.
The unseen servant seems to struggle with keeping up, but manages to get through if you slow down.
Oh, he slows down.
And with the letter complete and with you reading over it, kind of cursory, as you're still not quite familiar with the higher points of grammar, but you got most of it down, and it looks pretty good. So you give your signature at the bottom. The unseen servant folds it up, places it in an envelope, along with a single piece of gold.
He'll put 10 extra gold into it.
10 extra gold? All right.
Yeah.
The quite heavy envelope is then sealed up and then dropped into the letterbox, which it makes no noise as it fails to hit the bottom.
Okay. And then Rock's gonna start walking up along the walls as he starts pacing, thinking to himself.
All right.
As he waits for one more day of rest.
Mm.
And I'll just mark off those spell slots.
All right. All right, Eric's, what are you doing? You got a full day open.
I am enjoying cordial cherries that my grandmother sent me.
All right. You have a grandmother?
Presumably. Whether she's alive still or not is another matter. But they somehow made it to me through the mailbox. They probably taste very old, but, you know.
Well, you're not sure of whether or not it's from your grandma or from some other grandma, but it certainly tastes like it was.
All right. Though in all seriousness, I'm struggling to put them away.
Sully, what about you?
Well, after seeing that the kobolds are fine, he's probably going to rally them up for defense training.
All right.
That is a great idea. I will help.
Thought so. Because if things are going to be attacking us, and they have been, let's get them a little more involved in this.
I kept trying to get, Raku and Rock to do it, but since, they're the most combat capable of our group.
You should have been asking me, because while combat experience is very helpful, you'll also need to explain it in manners which they understand. Explain it simply for them. A la myself.
I mean, there's not much to explain as far as thumping them upside the head. And showing them how they're fighting wrong.
Sully might narrow his eyes a bit and wonder why you're the leader.
I mean, that's how normal combat practice goes. Did you forget about you and Rock's encounter?
You will leave that alone.
I was involved in it. I set him on fire.
You hear a shudder somewhere.
Just a shuddering force moves through the air around us, emanating from Rockrock.
On the mention of fire.
Jesus fuck. Anyways, go ahead and give me a go ahead and give me a charisma check, Sully, to get the
Alright.
get the lessons across that you want to.
You got it. $16.
All right. Together, you guys manage to outline a basic defensive plan, where instead of the kobolds kind of just hiding, and every once in a while one of them will come up and help in a time they see fit, there's a certain structure to it now where every kobold is going to be responsible for a number of things. One of which is just continue to look out for any additional things that might be coming, to prevent any sort of tunnel visioning. In addition, they'll try to help you out if the fight's in the camp much more often. And they're going to basically use the tunnels that they've created to
Guerrilla tactics kind of thing?
Yeah, guerrilla tactics. Pop up, shoot a crossbow, pop back down. Stuff like that. Oh, I got
The
the
goal
hiccups.
would be to stay out of direct danger themselves, while still lending support.
Whack a lizard. Yeah, sure.
What?
All right. It's like, yeah, whack a lizard.
I'm glad you got that, Dova.
Where was that? Oh, I see. The chat here in Fantasy Grounds. Okay. Yes, exactly. Except the goal is for them not to get whacked.
It's the same thing with the moles.
All right. So, a day passes as you, or the night passes as you kind of continue training the kobolds, as you continue helping them out in their daily routines. The actual, like the farms, the mushroom farms that you've been slowly growing, have actually started to yield crops. Started to yield products. These quite large mushrooms that almost have the consistency of steak. They still taste very earthy and have a strange sort of acidy tang to them. But they are somewhat delicious for some reason. It must be something in your kobold mind that just sort of gravitates towards this food source. It's still not quite enough to sustain the colony on yet, but the basically beans and rice that the mansion is outputting at this point is able to be sort of complemented by these mushroom steaks in a way that nobody's going hungry, and even some people are having quite good food to eat.
Good.
Yeah. as dawn is breaking and as all the kobolds are starting to settle down and get ready for the night, for your guys' night, which is daytime, one of the kobolds on one of the guard towers sort of runs down, almost excitedly pointing out over the bay towards the west. He finds one of you, which the first one he's going to find is going to be Rock, actually. He's gonna find you. He's gonna kind of poke you on the shoulder excitedly. He's gonna point over to the west, over sort of past the airship that's docked, that's on the ground right now. He's gonna say, I see something coming in the sky. It looks like a boat, like our ship."
He's gonna raise an eyebrow. He's gonna go and gently wake up Sully.
All right.
And then he's gonna go kick the door in on Eric's and say, "Get up."
You guys.
I thought this was
kinda...
I thought this was at night, which would mean we're awake.
It is during the dawn, so you guys are starting to sleep.
Kobold night.
You guys
Which
are
is
just
daytime.
going. Yes, it is daytime. It is about maybe 8-9 o'clock in the morning. And since this is winter, this would be roughly when the sun was coming up.
And he's gonna go. We got visitors. And he's gonna go out and hop onto and gently wake up Ember and hop onto her.
All right.
And then fly up to meet him.
All right.
Oh,
As you
God.
are heading
In the ethereal dimension, so he's just gonna pop right on the ship.
All right.
And
As
now
you
we're
are
gonna be
actually
dead.
heading out, you see that the thing far in the distance is actually advanced to the point where it is maybe just outside the bay and is actually slowly descending to the water. And making your way out, you get maybe 80 feet in the air, see the actual ship, and immediately go into the ethereal plane. Go ahead and give me a wisdom saving throw for both you and Ember when you get there. As for you, I'll do one for Ember.
Yeah, I don't remember what her stats are.
Ooh. Not very high. You make it, Rock. Ember, however, does not. And within maybe 100 feet of the ship itself, and you can see blurs of the actual people. It's just blurry objects and shapes. But the airship itself is slightly larger than yours. And it seems to be a little bit nicer too. None of this, pre-owned pirate stuff. This looks kind of new. There's no sails whatsoever. There's a band of iron, of what looks like armor, along the waist of it. As you reach within 100 feet, you feel no hindrance, but Ember just skids to a stop, neighing wildly and kind of bucking her head as she kind of turns to the side and kind of backs up a little bit.
How far away?
About 100 feet.
Okay, we're gonna reappear. Then
Alright.
I'm gonna calm her down and like, that's okay.
All right. You reappear into the material plane, and Ember almost immediately calms down.
I'm just gonna take a mental note of that for later.
On the ship, you see a plethora of dwarvish and human crew members. They certainly don't look to be pirates and have honestly, a very respectable look to them.
Rockrock's gonna grin wide because a thought just crossed his mind, and I'll whisper the same thought to you in a second. But he's gonna do. Can I do a perception check
Looking for what?
to see if they notice me?
Go ahead. Yeah, they definitely notice you.
Okay.
A lot of the crew members are kind of pointing up at you. The captain is actually sort of stepping away from the tiller at the moment, getting another crew member to fill in for her. The captain, who is definitely wearing the garb to suggest it, and not really clothing-wise, but hat-wise, it's definitely a captain's hat. She's kind of waving at you, and advancing down from the bridge onto the main deck.
If Ember would be willing to approach closer now that we're out of the ethereal plane, he'll go meet her on the deck.
All right. So Ember is gonna go back to the ethereal plane as soon as you land.
I assume on our calm days, Rockrock we would have worked together where if she vanishes, I can whistle and get her to come back if she's within a certain distance.
I don't believe that's going to work since you don't have any real contact into the ethereal plane.
That's why it hasn't worked so far. Rockrock doesn't
But
know
you can
that
certainly
yet.
try.
He does not know that yet.
Yeah. All right. As you sort of land down on the plank, Ember sort of disappears as you walk towards the ship. What's the name of your guys' settlement again? Did you ever give it a name?
We gave it the name it was the Spanish word for island of tiny lizards.
Ah. It was Isla.
Something.
I swore I wrote this down somewhere.
It was a really good name.
It was a really good name.
I mean, the name of our group is called Traveling Scales, so.
It is pretty good. Where is this?
I have no idea. Maybe it's in our notes somewhere.
I'm looking.
No. No.
Now, what in the heck?
I mean, we could always go to Google Map or Google Translate.
I can find it again. Yeah, I'll just do that real quick.
When the hell did I write a note saying stuff Ugu Kawaii?
That's a real good one.
When did I do that? I don't remember this action.
Isla de Lagartos. That is the name of your settlement. The captain, who looks to be perhaps an elf or a half-elf, you can't really tell, kind of waves you down, gives a slight bow and says, "Are you with the settlement of Isla de Lagartos?"
Rockrock would nod.
Wonderful, wonderful. I'm sorry. We just came from the anchorage of Jahaka, and we were on our way to something a bit bigger, but we decided to stop by and see what the buzz is all about.
Rockrock's gonna smile, but think to Sora, who are these people?
Sora is going to spend a little time trying to get information. You can definitely tell that she's busy.
That's fine. Yeah, that's fine. He trusts her. Rockrock's gonna go. Yes. Buzz, you say? Yes. That's what he says.
Well, sorry. Anyway, are we okay if we go into the bay here? I'm sorry. We're really unsure. The note we got wasn't really descriptive on if docking stuff.
He's gonna raise an eyebrow and say, "A note from who?"
Oh, it's we have kind of a almost like an advisor. He kind of sends us notes every once. I'm sorry. I'm not alone here as sort of the leadership captain sort of thing. As almost if on cue, 3 other very well dressed and equipped individuals kind of make their way from below decks. Another half elf or elf, you're not really sure. An old man who seems to be a mage of some sort. A dwarf with a red braided beard who seems to be just getting out of bed and is just yawning with bags under his eyes.
I swear if the elf's name is Legolas.
It's not. Simmer.
Huh.
The dwarf seems to he has a carrying case for an object maybe the size of a large dog kind of strapped on his back. You're not sure what's in it or what could even be in it. But instinct tells you that it might be an instrument case. It looks light enough to be something like that.
When the quote-unquote captain was talking about the letter and something, I want to do an insight check on that.
Go ahead. Yeah. As far as you can tell, she's telling the truth. And it's not really outrageous for a group of what it seems to be adventurers to get their advice from someone. Get maybe tips, clues. It does not sound out of the ordinary.
How far away are we from our settlement?
Roughly about a half mile into the harbor.
No. Okay. It's like, okay.
There's also one more. What looks to be a middle-aged woman, with a I forget what this holy symbol looks like. What is your holy symbol, my man? There he is. Yeah, I guess that'll have to do. So, the holy symbol of what looks to be a pendant. It looks like a shield, with a hammer and a pair of scales, like kind of merchant scales.
Oh, it wouldn't be of Torm, would it?
I forget which one died.
The dead god.
Oh yeah. Definitely died. I believe Torm's the dead one. Right?
Well, he's personally talked to Torm, and apparently Torm likes him from his impression.
No, never mind. Tyr's the dead one. It does not seem to be the symbol of... Actually, give me a religion check.
That seems about right.
There's a lot of religious symbols, and you get a lot of them mixed together.
I've seen a lot of clerics in my life. They all blend together.
Yeah. So this one, you're getting a good vibe off of it, though. It looks kind of like a good god's symbol. The human wearing it is a middle-aged woman, not currently wearing any armor at the moment, but she has a very fancy-looking like mace or club, sort of in a loop around her waist, and it's kind of tightening a cloak as the winds blow around you all from the sea, and from the airship slowly coming into the water.
He's like, okay. He's gonna go walk towards the edge while he thinks to Sora's like, while you do background checks on this, and then he's gonna look over the edge. Are we over the harbor?
Yes.
He's gonna ask like, so what's your plans here? Just stopping?
Yeah. Maybe stay for a while, get to know this whole settlement. We were told it was a fairly nice place.
It's very interesting. But he's gonna roll an insight check on what on that.
Go ahead.
It's a little
Seems
better.
to be telling the truth.
Okay. He's gonna nod and
She seems to be genuinely interested. The dwarf, however, is not. He would rather be doing something else. You can tell.
He's like, okay, well, I'll go let the others know, and he's gonna jump off the edge.
All right. Yeah. So you're about 100 feet up.
Above water, but he's gonna prepare Sora for, before he does, he was subconsciously putting her in the glass jar so she wouldn't get wet.
All right, you managed to stuff her into the glass jar.
It's
Due to the height above the water, you still take 21 points of bludgeoning damage.
That's fine. It was more of a. It was more out of
It's sending a
aesthetics.
message. Yeah.
Yep. Like,
Right? You are now in very deep ocean water. You've heard rumors that the waters around Chult are infested with sharks, crocodiles, and large squids.
Are you trying to get him to go in there more?
I believe so.
he's gonna think like,
You're
the town
talking
could
to
use-
Rock. Those things sound like a fun time to him.
I mean, you're not wrong. And Rock's first thought is like, I could go for some seafood.
I mean, Rock also beat up his ally.
Give me a history check, Rock. You distinctly remember a rumor that in the waters around Chult, or maybe like in the rivers, there is a parasite that can swim up your Johnson.
He's gonna.
You're just remembering this as you're splashing into the water.
He's gonna intimidate the water as he swims back to shore, or walks along the bottom.
Go ahead and try. You beat the crap out of the water as you walk through it.
Just getting visions of Chuck
the water
Norris.
that you walk through, the water that you walk through seems to be thoroughly intimidated. However, the water that comes in to replace it constantly doesn't seem to know you very well.
Hey, only some people need to know Rock for the story to spread.
As you angrily walk back towards the shore, so you're going to be going pretty slow compared to the speed of an airship, which still sails at a decent speed.
What about the airspeed of a coconut-laden swallow?
God damn it.
African or European?
Eric, you
We're
now have
gonna
the plague.
say... what?
You have the plague now.
The plague?
Yep.
What
Cheers,
is the
plague.
plague?
You got the plague. Shame.
I mean, as soon as he gets to the
Plague.
shore, he's gonna try to get Ember back and then try to get back to town.
All right, you go to the sort of peninsula at the edge of the bay, and you get there before the ship manages to get to the actual settlement.
Because he wants to get back. It's like, hey, we got people. They seem nice, but you know, last time we had somebody coming from the sky, I end up dying. I can go 2 for 2. I hear if I get 3, I get free fish.
At this point, you hear a very audible splash as a large anchor drops from the ship out in the harbor, about 100 to 200 feet out, in deep water, you reckon, as the ship
Interesting.
drops anchor. Oh, why is my nose so plugged all of a sudden? It's so weird.
Don't you know your body will shut down just the moment you don't want it to?
I know, right? It's great.
And then, like I said, he would just go back and tell everybody, and he still has worm potions on him, so he's not too worried.
Okay, what do they want?
So apparently someone sent a letter to them about how this place is, quote unquote, he's gonna air quote, like with 2 hands and his tail, interesting to look at. And they wanted to see what everything is. They're gonna stay here for a while, quotes unquote, a while. There's quite a few. Ship's fancy. I don't think it's rock proof, as he grins extra wide at that. And gives you a tails thumbs up, like, we have insurance, we're good.
Yes, thankfully we do have our insurance. Speaking of, you still haven't tested the limits of that.
He's gonna Eldritch Blast the ship.
There's
Rock.
No, our ship.
Oh.
as you blast a lance of force at the ship, it kind of actually just ricochets off of the hull and just sort of arcs off into the distance before just dissipating. There is almost a resounding clanging noise.
He's gonna do that motion that you do with your 2 fingers in the eyes, but he's gonna do it with his tail as he just glares at it. Like, this is not over.
Oh. You have vendetta to the ship now.
It's the ship, this freaking hot spring place. There's a lot of places on his list.
Yeah, yes, my lady Hammerlock, let us greet our guests, shall we?
Well, yes.
I would like to pull my top hat out and just, replace my captain's hat. No, actually, I'm going to put it on top of the captain's hat.
Captain's hat, and then I think it'd be more structurally sound for the top hat and then the captain's hat. But go ahead and give me a dexterity check to keep that balanced. It's not working. It's fate has seemingly prevented you from wearing both hats at the same time. You need to choose.
Fine, I will choose the top hat.
This is a quick time event.
Sully's just going to leave and put on her nicer clothes.
All right. And I'm guessing Rock, you would also put on some I'm guessing you're keeping your armor.
Yes, you guessed right.
All right.
He is gonna get Ember to dry him off a little bit.
All right. Ember finally does return, looking a little bit almost annoyed at the other ship.
He thinks to her the same, like, yes, I'm annoyed too, like on the same level. And then he's gonna think to her, like, we need to work on your returning again.
And she just whinnies. All right.
He takes that as like I was gonna say he takes that as an affirmative. Like, he will get this. They will get this down. Go ahead. That was it.
Okay. As you guys are continuing to get ready, you kind of peer over at the ship itself, and you see a little kind of a bickering argument has broken out on the deck. You can see the sorcerer just kind of looking annoyed, kind of rubbing his forehead as the dwarf and the human, the cleric and what looks to be the bard, kind of bicker at each other and motion over to the rowboat that they have. The sorcerer just kind of yells something, annoyed, and with a shimmering, almost explosion of magic, the ship just kind of seems to disappear for a few moments. The water, where it once was, rushing to fill in the voided space. A few seconds later, the ship reappears about 15 feet from the shoreline. As the sorcerer just kind of yells at the both of them, "There! Now we don't have to use the rowboat."
He's gonna take a mental note of that, of battle tactics. Making a list of who goes first.
Oh, I forgot to mention. The previous night, you have had a kind of weird, but still kind of pleasant dream of an idyllic pasture with a handful of sheep just kind of grazing in it. Nothing bad happens. It's kind of a nice dream. The wind is very mild and temperate. It's partly cloudy, but even the shade isn't cold. It's just kind of a nice dream.
Who? Me? Rock?
All of you.
Oh.
Ooh.
Rock
And it
is
never really stood out to any of you enough to sort of talk to it about the others.
Rock would have immediate concerns about that dream, but he would put that off to the side, because that's not his normal dreams.
Ah. It was a nice change of pace. And a nice relief from the, well, uncomfortable experience you've had with sleep lately, Rock.
Yeah, that tends to shudders at the thought of the mountain.
Mm-hmm.
But like more out of anger than fear.
Ah. All right.
Stupid mountain.
Anyways, there's a thud as a gangway plank is sort of dropped from the deck of the ship onto the a few inches of water still, as the the four will look to be adventurers sort of make their way down onto the sands and sort of make their way to the encampment. Those with high perception, including, I believe that would just be Rock and Eric's, I believe. Don't quote me on that.
So 2 out of the 3?
Yeah. Actually, Sully, you would probably hear this too. Oh no, your passive perception is 14. Never mind. You two would hear the dwarf sort of almost complain, and says, "Oh, they had 5 months. We got that letter 5 months ago, and this is how far they are." He kind of just shakes his head. "I'm not sleeping on the ground tonight. I'm not sleeping in this shanty town." As the elf or half elf captain in an upbeat tone, kind of responds, "Oh, I'm sure it's much better than it looks. It must be some underground stuff. I hear kobolds are kind of into that sort of thing." As they kind of make their way to your front gate, sort of walking up the long beach, the rather large field that's in between the beach and the settlement itself, and kind of walk around to the front gate. The kobolds, having overheard that they're kind of tourists and you guys aren't really too concerned about them coming in, keep the gates open as they pass through. Some of the kobolds kind of peering out and almost staring at these strange visitors that are coming. All right, what do you do?
Rock is gonna. I assume all of us will go to greet him, but
Yes.
Rock's gonna stand a little behind, but he's gonna be mounted on top of Ember.
Eric's will be in the front.
All right.
Rowan right behind him, slightly to the side,
All right.
Large,
As
impressive
they're as they're approaching, the dwarf lights his pipe with his hand. It seems to be a simple prestidigitation sort of thing.
Welcome! And what, may I ask, brings you to our fair village?
Well, we've heard news that this was an up-and-coming settlement, and we just had to visit. Well, quite honestly, the hostile landscape of Chult seems kind of unforgiving for settlements like this. And we're so excited to see how one is coming along, especially one of, well, if I'm going to be honest, all kobolds.
We welcome all kinds here at Isla de...
Lagartos.
Isla
de Lagartos.
I mean, we even feature our esteemed Rowan, the saber-toothed tiger here. Rowan, go ahead, say hello. Yes, yes.
The saber-toothed tiger kind of shyly looks out from behind you, Eric's, and eventually, with a bit more goading from you, manages to kind of pad its way up. Its front paws kind of pointed inwards. Before it kind of ducks its head down a little bit in a little bit of the bow that you taught it, but definitely not to the extent that you hoped it would. The captain kind of reaches her hand forward, very carefully, sort of reaching out to pet the top of its head. And the saber-toothed tiger kind of, her eyes dart upwards towards the hand, back to the other group, back to the captain, back almost reaching like through its skull, trying to look back to you, Eric's. As eventually, slowly, her hand kind of heads down on top of the tiger. His fur is very soft.
Yes, we do make sure that he is taken very good care of. We also have lizard folk here. Infel, where are you?
What? As he kind of makes his way around the corner, clearly being in bed before all the commotion. He kind of looks a bit ragged.
What is he wearing at the moment?
He's wearing basically the equivalent of a nightgown. Technically,
tell
he doesn't
me he's
have to
got a
wear
cap, too.
anything.
Yeah, that's what I was slightly worried about. Oh dear. Well, it's better than alternatives.
Yeah.
Please tell
I'm
me he's
sorry,
got a nightcap.
He does have a nightcap.
Okay. I am satisfied.
managed to buy one of the nightcaps of good dreams after seeing Raku with his. Did you need something? As he sees the visitors.
Why, we have guests! Do come greet our guests!
Oh, I can see that. I'll be out in a minute, okay? Is that okay?
Oh, very well, very
I'll be out in a
well.
minute. As he kind of ducks back inside the hut that he came out of.
And now we do also have Iastol and Gestalt. Where are they?
Iastol's probably in her cave at the moment. But Gestalt has heard the hubbub and is trying to organize a dinner or a single meal of some sort. And you can see him kind of orchestrating a handful of kobolds to grab stuff from the storeroom and try to cook up something interesting. And as Gestalt notices like the pause in conversation and introductions from the gate, he kind of slowly looks over and he gives a little wave. Are you like waving him to come over or what?
No, I'm just gesturing towards him.
Okay.
And
The sorcerer seems to be fairly interested. Kind of looking over with a very intense stare, almost trying to take in every detail of him.
And I, of course, am Sir Eric Hammerlock. The fair one on our ember back there is Lady Hammerlock. And we have our minstrel of music, Sully.
The dwarf kind of raises his eyebrow at hearing that Sully is an expert of music. The dwarf also...
I said a minstrel, but...
A minstrel still is... Well, you also said master of music, so...
No, I said a minstrel of music.
What is a minstrel? Well, still, that's an entertainer. Anyways, go ahead and give me that insight check, Rock. As the cleric kind of remarks to the sorcerer, kind of standing in the back, as she says, can you tell the girls apart from the... Can you tell the women apart from the males? Because I can't. I could have sworn that the one who landed on our ship was a male. As the sorcerer kind of tears his gaze away from Gestalt for a moment, blinks, and says, and actually doesn't say anything, but just shrugs. The captain gives a slight bow, saying, and greetings, Sir Hammerlock. Greetings to you, Lady Hammerlock, and to you, Sully. Mr. Sully, if that's okay.
Madam Sully, but...
Madam Sully. I apologize.
Rock would just nod.
My name is Janet Keenseeker. This, as she motions to the dwarf, this is the Dooley Metalbreaker. Behind me is Sir Arthur McKinnon, as she motions to the sorcerer, and Margaret de Beaubay. And the cleric behind her kind of pipes up, correcting. It's Beaubec. My captain just sort of nods. Sorry. our little group is known more near Luskin than anything as the diamonds in the rough. We sort of like expeditioneers and stuff.
I see.
It's pretty cool. I'm gonna say you kind of look like the type to be that sort of thing too.
We did a bit of it.
Really? What sort of stuff? I'm always interested to hear another adventuring group's exploits.
Oh,
Sully
come,
gets a
come.
wry smile and say, well, the beginning is interesting enough, but you might not believe the latter halves.
Oh, I might.
Let us sit to eat, and then we may discuss and share stories to our heart's content. Come, warm yourselves by our fire.
Well, of course.
I will lead the way towards the food and such. The seating
It's
area.
being set out. It's being set out on the same table that you had your Christmas feast on. It wasn't actually taken down or put away from yesterday, since everyone was a bit preoccupied and kind of still full from all the food they ate.
And, you know, taking down the spirit of the holiday.
Yeah, that was also very tiring.
Hey, it was dinner and entertainment.
The kobolds who are just kind of currently milling around slowly start to get closer to the diamonds in the rough, as they call themselves. As the refreshments and food starts to get passed around, does anyone put out any special dishes? Maybe a special wine that they've had, alcohol, any sort of thing?
The only special dish Rock has ever made was only for them, so.
Mm-hmm.
However, Rock will be doing an insight check on when she said, "Oh, we are like adventurers."
Sorry?
He doesn't. Said Rock when the captain was saying, "Oh yeah, you look like you're adventurers. That's kind of what we do, explorers." He wanted to do an insight check because he does not trust these people.
It seems about right. I mean, they certainly look to be adventurers. Even coming into what looks to be a friendly settlement, a lot of them are still armed with either, in the captain's case, a rather fancy-looking sword in a sheath, a long sword, to be precise. The bard, the dwarf, seems to have a couple of daggers, throwing daggers, kind of strapped to his waist. The sorcerer and the cleric, they don't seem to be very well armed, but that is about right with, spellcasters and mages and stuff like that. They don't seem to carry much equipment.
Can I ask one question?
Sure.
Now, do they look like adventurers or adventurers? And the difference is, all of us look like adventurers, dirty, dinged up, messed up, battle scars, stuff that been living on the road, like actual adventurers, or do these look like high-end people, quote unquote, dressing like adventurers?
Because give me another insight check.
Lords and ladies that are pretending.
Yeah.
There's a subtle way in which they survey the environment that tells you that they're almost constantly looking for threats. Something that nobles don't tend to do.
No. Only life on the road tends to teach you that.
Yes. They seem to be clean and prim and proper. All their equipment is well maintained. But they definitely have that sort of air of veterancy.
Okay.
Giving a quick assessment towards their airship, their clothing and such, and also with the little assessment that Sora gives. Sorry, get yawn. You start to understand that they are to the point where they can afford to be extremely well cleaned, extremely well equipped, and confident in their abilities enough to travel around unarmored most of the time. Especially what look to be the more physical focused members.
Alright, he's gonna take note to that, but just kind of relax a little bit more of a, okay, not these are posers, but more like, okay, these people probably been through something. But he's still, like, because you gotta think, Rockwork's been telling, like I said, last time something came from the sky, it attacked. So, and it was only like 2 days ago. So to him, this whole thing smells super, super off. So that's just his future mindset. So if I'm probably gonna be rolling a lot of insight checks because he's not believing.
Doing a lot. All right.
I'll try not to spam it too much, but
fair enough.
Just when I think something's like super fishy. But go ahead, continue.
Sure.
Well, as food is being dished out, I will leave it to Sully to share the exploits of our adventures. Seeing as how, he's literally the entertainer and should be able to put on a better show than Eric's.
Alright.
Alright, Sully, you got 3 seasons of this show to recap now. Let's hear it.
3 seasons to recap. Oh, boy. Well, jeez, where do I begin? My joining via abduction?
We didn't abduct you!
Rock did.
You got the elevator pitch of of everything that's happened. Everything good, at least. Unless you want to go into ear-splitting detail.
He will probably embellish.
Alright, that's good.
You're supposed to.
Yeah.
Though I'm not sure literally saving the world against, from the Tree of Life or the World Tree, needs much embellishment. But they're probably not going to believe it as is anyways.
Of course they're not. Now.
Listening along... Oh, sorry. Were you gonna...
No, it's nothing particularly important. I was just thinking, like, alright, so... what in particular should I talk about? Is there anything in particular detail I should be saying?
Well, let us begin with the encounter with the dread sky pirates I stole.
I wasn't present for that one.
Wait, didn't you say that the Iastol was here?
Oh, yes. Not a prisoner, per se. It is a complicated situation.
Ah. Prisoner, though?
Not quite. She is free to go.
Mutually.
Rock's gonna go, I almost mated with her once.
Really?
Well, I think she shot you.
Good, the dwarf gives you a glance. You're not quite sure what the glance means.
The inside chick that glance.
No. I'm just gonna say.
Oh, come on! I know.
Alright, fine. With your experience of bards and minstrels and entertainers, you know that they are relentless in their pursuit. And for some reason, and this is a feeling, a sort of insight that you're only starting to understand now, but you get the feeling he is engaged with someone else, but still has that urge to sort of get out there
Kiss and tell.
constantly.
Mm.
Sort of.
And who was he eyeing?
You, Rock. Sully. No, sorry. It was Rock when you said that you almost mated with the Dread Pirate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what he was most interested in.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't.
And after a few like milliseconds, he kind of goes back to giving glances around the camp thoroughfare.
Well, I suppose that I should go ahead and fill in the gaps that our lovely Sully is unable to. So we started off from the city of Baldur's Gate. Yes, Baldur's Gate. It was a respectable place when we were there. We traveled from there to... basically, he's just gonna ramble on at this point.
Is shortly after you talk about Baldur's Gate, you can see the cleric sort of raise her finger as if about to say something for a moment, but before just slowly dropping it back down and letting you continue.
I purposely just kind of ignore it. But
right.
I'm just rambling on of all of our adventures up to Sully coming in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, purposely doing the experienced, grizzled guy recounting war stories. Kind of that idea.
Yeah.
Sometimes going off track, talking about various random things. Extra detail on Rock and his grain sack. Or rice sack, or whatever it was.
It was a
Oh.
grain sack filled of oats.
Oh, grain sack.
Yeah.
Oops.
He's very happy. He pats his oat sack.
Do you have it right now?
He always has it on him. It's just folded up.
It's emptied.
He's got a barrel of oats. He refills it in the bedroom.
Hell yeah.
Oh, those bedroom oats.
I don't know how Sully feels about that, but he loves his bedroom oats.
That's fine. They're stale.
Anyways, as Eric's continues to give his presentation, the exploits of the settlement,
Traveling scales.
she kind of pipes up, and the captain kind of pipes up and says, "I'm sorry to sort of bring attention to this, but you said you were here for like a month? Is that correct?"
Yes,
Out of
we've
character,
not been here
how the hell
terribly
long
long.
have we been here?
You've been there you've been here for about a month.
Okay.
We've been here for about a singular month.
Wow, we've done
Really?
a lot in a month.
And she kind of looks over at the sorcerer. She kind of you can tell that she casts a small incantation and kind of points at him. You can see her mouthing something, but you can't tell what she's saying. And the sorcerer just kind of nods, reaches into his cloak, and almost from nowhere grabs a spell book, sort of flips it open, starts paging through, and casts one of the spells. His eyes kind of flare with magic as he kind of glances around.
I'd like to just
shake.
counterspell that.
Rock was as soon as he saw that, he was slowly reaching for his axe.
As
Now! I am speaking, good bird! Now, friends!
Go ahead, Erix.
Let us be at ease. Do be considerate and inform us before you are attempting to cast your spells.
I'm sorry.
It is simple common courtesy, you know.
Sorry, I truly apologize. He was just seeing what sort of magical effects were in the area. Well, I don't know how to put this, but we received information that this settlement has been in place for 5 months now. That's the information that we got that steered us to this place.
Interesting.
Rockrock's gonna go, can I see that note?
Sure. She kind of pats her jacket, eventually pulling out a small, like a tri-folded letter, and kind of reaching out to it and grabbing it. You fold it open and see that it is marked with a date that is. I gotta think.
You can just make one up.
Yeah. In the letter, just going off of context clues and various things that are said, you can tell that it was definitely wrote at a time that would implicate you were here for 6 months. Or 5 months. I'm trying to explain it in a proper way. From what you can tell, you're not stuck in a time loop or anything, or slowed down time, nothing like that. But it does say the name of your settlement and everything.
Where did this come from?
Well, every so often we get sort of tips like this, sort of just appear near us, a little kind of a greenish flash of light, and then they're just there.
And there's no questioning them.
Well, we did question them at first, of course, but they usually led us to some fantastic locations and just amazing sort of expedition sites that we eventually started trusting them. I mean, we still try to fact check it, but it's been very reliable to us.
They get the magazine from AAA.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, you go.
Rockrock is like, show me where these letters pop out.
Well, they pop up kind of wherever we usually are. There is kind of a sound, kind of like the ringing of a bell, but that's it.
So, for all you know, these could come from the very future.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be super cool if we were actually the ones like sending them back, and that's kind of one of my theories. But we've also kind of figured that it might just be one guy,
A prophet, perhaps?
Yeah, something like that, who just has enough power that he can like look into the future.
Or a lich that Rockrock mumbles under his breath.
Well, that the cleric definitely would have heard that and just sort of nods and sort of repeats it, just saying, "Oh, we're a lich, yeah."
They're not bad. Just don't let them touch you, as he says, as like matter of fact.
Yeah, they're
Yes.
they're pretty bad. We've had to deal with 2. It's not really that fun.
He
Oh,
shrugs.
you
It's
as
like,
well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in this kind of business, you really have to deal with. I mean, they're the ones who often have the largest, underground complexes and such.
Well,
we
sometimes they
stumble upon
come.
them.
Well, sometimes they come to you. That's
I
unfortunate.
mean, I guess sometimes.
All right, since you've had experience, tell me your finishing touches when it comes to liches.
Well, what do you mean?
What was the final blow like? Did you sever them in 2?
Well,
Perhaps burn them?
the first one there was an incident with a barrel of gunpowder that we kind of rolled down a hallway and just sort of obliterated him. We couldn't find the phylactery, which is like, so liches, when they die, they eventually they reform.
We know.
Oh, you do? Okay. So we couldn't find that. So we kind of just looted everything and left. Really hasn't come back to bite us yet, but we figure if he does come back, we'll just kind of show him a lesson again.
What did they
Teach
look?
him a
What did he look like?
A lot of bones, not much skin.
Was he wearing a red cloak?
No, I think the first one was purple.
Hmm.
They really
Not
do like
ours,
purple. No.
Yep.
I mean, did he have a name? I mean, we might know him. Might have heard of him.
You know the Christmas Lich.
I've heard of him, yes.
Not anymore.
Well, we didn't
Did
get.
you fight him?
Well, he certainly came to our settlement and made some problems.
Wow. So
He also exploded.
He grabbed me and I died. And Rock says that with like so happiness as his tail wags.
I see. I'm guessing you didn't get its phylactery then?
No, it is not. Liches often do not carry their phylacteries.
Well, yes, but but he came to, okay, yeah, fair enough. The second one, however, we did kill it. We did fully kill it. Its phylactery was a small necklace hidden in a wall, like a solid stone wall. It was actually magically inserted into one of the stone bricks.
All right. So how do you go about finding them? You just detect magic until you find the right one.
Yes, that's exactly how we did it. We knew that it was not going to be easy to find, so we prepared. We had a bunch of scrolls of detect magic, and we kind of all split up after we killed it, and found it and destroyed it. It was actually protected by an anti-detection field, but we actually had a scroll of an anti-magic, dispel magic sort of thing, which worked very well. We destroyed that anti-scrying field, and then we used ours to look through it.
I'll have to try that.
Yeah. But yeah, that. So, all right, you're going to look through the bag of toys for a phylactery again.
I didn't want to interrupt you, so.
Fair enough. I'll just say, because you guys have been looking through it, and the kobolds have been looking through it. It definitely does not seem like there's a phylactery at all. Nothing's really pinging as magic at all.
He's gonna go out to the courtyard to where it first landed, because it was
Alright.
flying by itself, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It just made elves.
Yeah.
And he's just going to detect magic and just kind of.
He's gonna what?
He's just going to cast detect magic and ask Sora if she senses anything. Just kind of like nope out of this dinner meeting. He got his information.
You guys, okay. Almost immediately, and as you're casting this, Sora finally gets back to you on her background check. She says, "The diamonds in the rough," and she almost sighs, reading back that group name. They're a group of adventurers founded in Luskin, and over the past year and a half have been gallivanting about the Sword Coast, mostly Neverwinter and North. Have been involved in possibly one world-ending event, which obviously they were involved in the thwarting of, and are currently ranked by the Adventurers Guild. Sorry, the Adventurers Guild Master in Kalimshan as the 7th most successful adventuring group, 6 members or lower, over the past 10 years. A fun note, side note, it seems that your group is number 1 among newcomers to the scene.
Oh, he smiles quite wide. He's just kind of like, awesome. Tails thumbs up as he's still looking for this thing. Butt in the air, face on the ground.
You are not finding it. However, you do notice that every single one of the group, one of the diamonds in the rough, as you look over to them, they are radiating magical energy from artifacts or whatnot.
Just like we are.
Yeah. There's just a lot of magic going on around that dinner table.
It's what time of the day is it?
It is roughly 11 a.m.
All right. Rockrock's gonna go in, and go up to, get close to Sully and just whisper, "Are you okay here?"
Yeah, I'll probably be fine.
Okay. I got something I'm gonna go do.
All right.
At about that time, the kobolds who are working on a meal finally sort of arrive with multiple plates of steaming, some still sizzling.
I thought we already ate.
No, not yet.
It
You
is.
said that we
You
have
guys
been
were just
passing
waiting.
around food and stuff.
Appetizers.
Yeah.
Okay, that works.
Yeah, but now that the main course and sort of snacks, main course has actually arrived, the dwarf, seeing as the alcohol is very, very slim pickings, he actually reaches into his knapsack and pulls out a small, pony keg, placing it on the table, and sort of reaching his mug over and pouring himself a mug of a very foamy ale. Sort of closing it and prestidigitationing the excess head away.
Rockrock would stop in mid-tracks as he smells ale, but then he just shakes his head, grabs a hunk of meat as he puts it in his mouth, gives him a tails thumbs up, and waves as he walks out.
All right.
You almost had a drinking contest.
He's still gonna be there.
Mm-hmm.
You want to? You sure you want to pass this up?
Mm.
This is like the most. This is a dwarf you're talking about.
Yes, but they've never
This
met
is-
a rock.
This is. Are you? You've never been in a drinking contest with a dwarf before.
He's never been one.
You've never had dwarven ale. I bet you, Rock, your back of your mind is saying this is the real stuff.
Well, it's pretty hard to find
might
real
be the real
dwarven
stuff.
ale. A lot of places that have dwarven ale tend to water it down.
Exactly.
He's only had it once when he was traveling with a dwarf when he was being raised, but that was 40-something years ago.
Exactly.
Hmm.
So he's gonna start looking around for intel. Where's that boy with the iron lever?
He's like
There's a-
mid-step. He's gonna think to Sora's like, me and you have to talk to about something later, but first he's gonna turn mid-step and walk over and get like real close to the dwarf and go, is that real?
The dwarf, who is actually like mid drink, kind of just looks over to you, finishes a few gulps, and then drops it back down. You can see the foam kind of sticking to his mustache. Aye. And well, I don't think we'll run out anytime soon. What, you think you can handle it?
Mm. You think you could beat me?
The cleric, the cleric and the captain kind of cross their arms. The cleric, almost like looking through a prayer book that seems to be serving as a spell repository of some sort. Just flipping through until she finds one, closes it. The captain, looking over and in a very elaborate series of nonverbal like nods, shrugs, and like eye rolls. Eventually, the captain almost like gives way, and the dwarf kind of nods and looks at you and says, "Oh, I think I can."
Mm. He's gonna sit down and go, well, let's test that then. As he just big smile.
Reaches into his satchel and pulls out a mug. The satchel, by the way, it's very clear that it's a bag of holding.
Mm-hmm.
He reaches out, pulls out another mug, kind of looks at it with one eyeball, kind of cleans it out with the inside of his sleeve, plops it down, and pours another mug. And at the same time, tops his off.
Alright. He's
Kinda-
gonna raise it. Go ahead.
He raises it as well.
He's gonna raise it in the classic drinking contest toast.
All right. As you two kind of settle in opposite each other with the keg in the middle. This is a long rectangular table with Eric's on the head of one end, and the other four just kind of settled around the other end. There's about 8 or 9 spots, so the table's fairly full. You sit opposite of him. Go ahead and give me a Constitution saving throw. Oh, I'm sorry, he gets advantage. All right. Very nice. As you drink the first mug, you are greeted with a very strong, almost a pungent, spicy, but at the same time, very, very smooth ale. And the smoothness only comes if you can look past the beer that's so thick you can almost chew on it.
Oh, so it's the real stuff.
It is very much the real stuff.
Does it have a slight minty aftertaste?
After you kind of down the first mug and sort of plop it down and reach for one of the plates that was at your spot to begin with, but you kind of drag it over. You definitely taste a little bit of mint.
Oh, it is the real stuff.
All right. But you can tell it is strong. Almost magically strong.
Mm.
Eric's and Sully. How about you guys? Are you doing anything special at the table? The
I'm
captain
regaling with
and
more
her-
stories.
Okay. What sort of stories?
Same ones as before. I doubt I would have finished by now.
That's understandable. Anything special that you'd like to tell them in particular, though? Maybe special embellishments that you'd like to do?
I don't think we really need to embellish much.
I mean, what about the whole Titan thing? About the whole, like, mech thing? I
Well,
think
that's for Sully to share.
As the master of embellishments.
Exactly. That one especially does not need embellishment, though.
Give me a charisma check, Sully, if you want to embellish anything at all.
Fuck yes.
Ooh. Like a master storyteller. You tell a tale of adversity and of fucking smashing that adversity into the fucking ground with a giant steel fist. You tell the most badass story of punching things in a giant mech suit that has ever been told. And by the end of it, even the stoic and fairly unimpressed looking sorcerer is more and more, well, impressed.
Welcome, punch.
And it telling the story of your little bit of sacrifice of losing something during it. The captain and the cleric just sort of nod in respect.
He's just going to like cross his arms and smile wistfully. It was such a long shot, and I was about 90% certain I'd die. But you know, as a bard, I must strive for the happily ever after.
Oh, I believe it, says the dwarf. Currently pouring another round for the two. Everyone kind of notices that the keg seems a bit small to be pouring 2 full mugs.
It's probably just a keg of infinite dwarven ale. That's just Sully's intuition on that.
Make assumptions, but that's a reasonable one. As they're digging into the meal that they've been given, not too hungrily. It seems that they ate before they got here, but they're digging into it. They're kind of surprised. The captain sort of remarking, you said before that this is mushroom. Really? Is it like a myconid? Like a walking mushroom? Is it like that sort of thing, or?
No, not at all. It's
Really?
It's native mushrooms that we've cultivated in our farm. With
Native-
some selective...
Is
Which-
it native to here or the mainland?
Yes, it's native to Chelsea. However, with some breeding, we've managed to get them a little more meaty, we'll say.
And a little
I've
bit
never
of
really-
druidic magic, of course, goes a very long
yes, that
way.
would. I suppose that would really help in that regard.
Of course,
I'm
paladin blessings also.
And I'm also guessing that the fact that kobolds are kind of around that sort of stuff a lot also helps, right?
Well,
I
yes.
kind of, speaking of the underground and mushrooms, do you have an underground portion to your settlement, like a sort of undercity sort of thing?
It's being worked
Wait,
on.
wait, 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 wait. I'm a little suspicious of that question, and their reason behind it.
Ooh, that's actually understandable. It does seem genuine, and you kind of connect the dots between them thinking that this settlement is like 6 months old, and the previous statement that they'd said when they were coming onto land, saying that there ought to be some sort of cool, like, underground caverns that you guys were inhabiting if the settlement on land was this small.
Okay. Well, we've only been here for about a month, as we've stated, so not really a whole lot has of work has gone into the underground portion. Mostly we have been focused on establishing food and regular supply setups prior to expanding the more infrastructure kind of parts of the encampment.
Ah, I see, I see. How did you deal with storing all the food while you managed to sort of do this selective breeding on the mushrooms? I would assume that's quite a lot of food to bring along.
We have an airship.
Well, I can see that, but that's still a full month of food for a settlement. That's...
I
You will also
believe
recall
that
we
you are.
kobolds.
I don't
I
feel.
suppose... Do you eat less? Well, I mean, you are smaller, but do you have like a faster metabolism?
Are you familiar with the spell Mordenkainen's Magnificent Mansion?
The sorcerer in the back sort of chimes in. Yes, I am.
Well,
Yeah,
I will raise
it
an
has-
eyebrow if we should be telling them that.
I see no reason not to, personally. I mean, it establishes us as being more powerful.
Alright.
Just saying, you know. Wait.
What?
Oh, wait.
We can actually cast the real spell now.
Yes, we can. It'd be expensive, but we can do it.
No, it wouldn't. It's literally like... Let's see.
Oh,
5,
wait,
10,
sorry, I'm thinking of another
15.
spell. The one that makes the castle.
It's literally only 15 gold pieces, and the items are not consumed by the spell.
Do we have the spell outside of the cart?
I don't know. I just know. I
think
doubt that
Cobalt
Cobalt
has it.
has it. I
thought
doubt he
did,
does.
Because I think he was the one that got it in the first place.
No, it's a level 7 spell. Actually, I don't think Cobalt can
I think
cast
he
level
has
spells
Liam's
yet.
Tiny's hut.
Yeah.
I think that's what I'm thinking of.
Anyways, back to the, you know, the actual discussion, the in character. Yes, we've used that to supplement our own food until we got more permanent solutions in place. Such as the fields of crops you may have passed through. Well, they would have passed through, I believe, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Such as the fields of crops.
A lot of onions. A lot of onions, and potatoes, and carrots, and a little bit of wheat. Not much, though. None of the kobolds among you really have that much fondness for bread, aside from Raku, so it seems that that's just for him.
We have a special little field just set aside just for Raku's bread.
Just for Raku's. It's got wheat, it's got barley, it's got rye, it's small, but it's got like a selection of various wheats.
Even rice. Get a
Little
little
bit.
rice.
Rice needs patties. And you guys really don't have any rice patties. That takes a lot of work. And the sorcerer kind of nods, saying, "And do you have your dedicated or your spellcasters dedicated to casting that spell every night, or because that would take quite a lot of work to keep all of these corpses fed with that."
I know. We have it bound to a particular object.
Really? It's quite interesting. If at all possible, I would like to see this.
Of course. Unfortunately, the spells working the food production inside of it are beginning to wane a bit. However, that is why we also began to establish our fields.
Ah, I understand. Such a spell like that would probably start to deteriorate after being kept up for such a long time. Still, bit to change the subject a small, but the golem, Gerald, you said his name was, right?
Gestalt. He is
Gestalt.
an automaton, rather.
Yes. It's quite fascinating. And he acts with full autonomy. It certainly seemed like he.
Yes, he is our... The term was major domo, right?
Major Domo.
Yeah. He is our major domo for the encampment. He has had a particular experience in the finer parts of life and oversees a lot of our day-to-day operations, such as the preparation of this fine meal.
And he kind of motions towards the food and says, "Yeah, oh yes, I can see that. It's quite interesting what an expert can do with such limited foodstuffs."
I'd like to summon one of the random kobolds over and have them go fetch Cobalt to go fetch Iastall.
All right. The kobold kind of scurries off into the mansion to grab
Because, you know,
grab
Cobalt's
ISL.
yeah, Cobalt's the best at just, you know...
And likely the only one who can actually get past the giant fucking rock door.
I mean...
Rock hasn't tried yet.
I was gonna say, don't put it past
yeah.
Rock.
I would love for him to try. Also,
There's
next
nobody
round,
better
Rock,
at
give me a
intrusion.
Constitution saving throw. DC is now 18.
I'm gonna do. Can I do Indomitable?
Yeah,
No.
it's a saving throw.
I want to save that.
All
Are
right.
you sure?
Well, it's more of a question of whether this is a one time and you're done, or like 3 or something.
Yeah.
It seems that the second mug, and by about 15 minutes in, it's starting to get to the dwarf. Actually, you can see his cheeks kind of redden. With your knowledge of dwarves and with a bit of like your sense of smell, you can smell that he might have been drinking before he actually came on land. That's not out of the ordinary for dwarves. You know.
Rock is drunken a lot of ale before he's drunk an ale too, so he knows. He knows the routine.
A drunk is very rarely, a dwarf is very rarely so, because I'm apparently drunk.
Rock grew up with.
Drunk is very rarely dwarf.
He grew up with mercenaries. Everybody was drinking.
Yeah. You're starting to slur your words a little bit, Rob.
All right, I'm gonna hold off on that one. I'm gonna play this smart. The few times he's gonna play this smart.
All right. I'll say right now that is probably 2.
Okay.
This is dwarven ale after all.
This
So,
is
like-
yeah,
2 failures then.
2 failures until you lose. You'll
Okay.
still probably be conscious, but clearly not having held your liquor.
All right. Yeah, I'm gonna hold that. I'm gonna keep that in my back pocket.
I can't
Alright.
even see who did that.
I saw a humble Sonic bundle.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you if you happen to be in the stream itself. That is very helpful.
He's got to show him who the Rock is.
Eric's, as you were continuing to, uphold this foppish identity, go ahead and give me a wisdom saving throw. You kind of feel very strange for a moment before you kind of shake your head and the feeling fades away. It almost feels like something about the whole identity is clashing with something else. It's kind of strange. Whenever you talk with the top hat on and act like this super upper class like citizen, your words almost are starting to like resonate and kind of vibrate in the air. It's a very strange and kind of unnatural feeling.
Become as gentle.
Eric's?
Hello.
Okay. I'm not sure what you mean by all that.
Okay.
I'm a little out of it.
It's a strange feeling, and it understandable. It is very late. I did not help. I think I made it a lot worse, actually.
Probably the closest we get to playing drunk D&D ever.
Hey, I mean, I've got a new 6-pack of Belgian white ale sitting, waiting,
I got
and
a
I'm
bunch of
dying to try it.
I got some apple pie moonshine.
Ooh. Like license-made moonshine, or?
License made, yeah.
Okay.
My friend's gonna make
So-
homemade mead though.
Okay. Ooh, mead? I'm jealous. Like a good, super well-aged mead is...
You just sounded so gay.
Are you kidding me?
I'm
I
sorry,
You
but
don't-
that
you
was
don't like
a...
me. Get the
I'm
fuck outta
so
here.
jealous.
I have never had mead, but I'm looking forward to this because it's gonna be amazing.
Oh, it's so good.
I am like so jelly of you. Like you've got
Eat it with
no
spicy food.
freaking idea,
Spicy food, I will
girlfriend.
take
With
that-
spicy food.
Order some buffalo wings.
Okay. Something maybe a little higher class than buffalo wings, but you do you. Anyways.
I'll get him to make something. He's also a chef too, so
Ooh. I'm so jealous.
I'm so jealous.
I got
Anyways.
some connections.
You should like come
Yeah,
over,
Fuck yeah.
and we should like, just have a blast.
Let's have a wine. Just have a glass.
Come on over,
on.
girlfriend. We'll have some fun.
Fucking- Anyways. Go ahead and give me one more Constitution saving throw as the dwarf is now pouring you both a third glass. DC was 20 and you passed. Dwarf readily passed. As he kind of hiccups and burps at the same time. It's still very delicious, and actually, as you're going on, the taste is starting to change, and that super hoppy bitterness is going away and being replaced by this almost like a pleasing acidic tang.
Hmm.
Very good. And it feels like you're eating gem encrusted, or like drinking gem encrusted bread.
Oh my god, this ale is just so good. Like,
Eric?
you've got to just try it. It is just so delectable and just fabulous.
I'll mute you on Discord again. I'll do it.
He likes to make his mead strong too.
Exactly. Ooh, that's good.
That's the
All
way I
this
hear it's
meat,
supposed to be.
you've got to try it. Oh my god, it is just so to die for.
Eric's is just mad because he doesn't appreciate beer and alcohol like we do.
I mean, I'm not much of a drinker, but I do appreciate a fine alcoholic beverage.
Exactly.
To be
I mean,
fair,
I love Jameson.
my dad liked brewing his own beer when I was growing up. And he wasn't very good at it. And it reeked. And now anytime I smell it, it's just... Ugh.
I'm more of a ale drinker than a hard beer drinker, just because the hops is like weird for me.
Now, I do enjoy a nice fireball. It is just
Anyway,
so
if
good, and it
Not
just
a fan of the
goes,
beer.
goes down the throat just so
I like
nicely.
Eric?
And
There's a lot of alcohol projecting going on here.
I like Sabaro. That's really good. The Japanese dark beer.
I almost just grabbed my bottle of Fireball to take a sip, and then I'm like, oh yeah, after we're done here, I gotta go drive to Walmart. Probably not a good idea.
Nah, just do it. You can drive fine while you're drunk. Nobody's been arrested for that. Anyways, let's freaking continue. So,
Needle?
what?
Sewing needle?
God dang it.
And D&D
this
turned
point,
into
a
the
lot of-
drinking hour talk show.
Hell yeah. At this point, a lot of the members of the party, the adventuring party, are actually kind of enjoying their experience here. And actually, they're talking about. They start to talk about stuff they've done recently and stuff they're actually planning to do, and eventually the captain sort of says, "So we're actually on a kind of an interesting little jaunt into Chult right now, and normally we wouldn't come to Chult because of all the flesh-eating insects and the diseases kind of running rampant, and then parasitic molds. But we came because we had this tip from the same guy saying that there was just this gigantic treasure trove here. It even has a picture on like a map of exactly where it is."
Like, oh my god,
don't
you
suppose-
too? Oh, we were looking all over for that. Oh, that is so cray-cray.
Eric, I'm sensing a lot of restrained hatred right now. There's what did alcohol hurt? How did alcohol hurt you, Eric's? How did I hurt you in the past?
You are alcohol now?
Or me or alcohol?
Oh, you didn't hurt me at all. Except for not letting me have Toby Kale.
I'm not letting you have that.
It was my birthday Sunday,
Anyways.
and you won't give me a present.
I'm giving you plenty of presents. Like the tiger.
That was
You haven't
hard
known.
worked for.
Exactly. Which is, it's still a gift from me. Are you actually going to respond to her saying we're looking for a big ass treasure vault?
Does Eric's actually know about that? I know that
You could
several
certainly
members of the party do, but I don't think Eric's actually does.
you can certainly guess. I mean, there's the one that Raku has been talking about looking for, and you've actually went looking for, but found a nest of like hyper wasps. So you kind of left there.
No, we
There's
went there
also
looking for where Sully had been held and trying to find clues on that.
fair enough. There's actually another location where treasure might be, and that is the gigantic volcano near the middle of the island.
Okay.
Um,
That's
it's also
rock
kind of
yes. Oh,
Yeah.
yes. We have heard the same rumors, though. We have also uncovered information about people having repeatedly died on their way there.
so it's like I think we can handle it.
Fire salamanders.
Mhm.
We have
Lots
no
and lots
idea
of
if it actually exists or not.
Well, we're fairly certain. I mean, this writer, this informant, hasn't really ever failed us on intel. I mean, sometimes he does overstate the amount of treasure within, but it is still a substantial haul almost every time.
Um,
And a lot of these places, you know, people die at because they're underprepared and not, experienced enough to tackle the dangers that might lie within. But I think we're both of those things. We
Well,
are.
not to underestimate you, but there's a particular figure that
Really now.
might be some trouble even for you.
Hey,
It
is
seems
this
to be like I'll call it a curious sorcerer made of metal.
of metal?
Geometric shapes, I'll call them. Indeed, before I was found, it had me captive for a while. And routinely, it pushed a substantial amount of magical power through me to the point where I can accurately say my
Really? I mean, why might do you know why it might do such a thing? Or-
I don't know. All it said is that I had potential, and then it dragged me back here in a burlap sack, probably to collect more cobalt.
I believe that I had this strange idea that perhaps a bird, for some reason, a vision of a bird, is somewhere ripping off the storyline of something involving Baldur's Gate, and the sequel. I don't know where it's coming from, but
A reminder that I have never played any of those games.
Oh no, suddenly a flying knife through our captain's throat. How could this happen?
Rock, when he's gonna take his last drink, during this contest, he's gonna make a comment, but he'll wait to that drink.
All right, go ahead and make a Constitution saving throw. DC is now 20. All right, dwarf makes it handily.
Mm. He's gonna go. Good luck dying.
I think we've handled worse.
Well, the thing is, it split into three when we tried to fight it. And one of those was definitely not a wizard one when it caught Infel's javelin and lodged it back into his chest.
Well, now, At this point, Infel would have kind of made his way up to the table, kind of attested to it, even kind of showing off the scar in his chest of where it actually hit. Yeah, it hit right here. And yeah, it was fast. It was almost crackling with arcane energy. I would almost suggest that maybe more people be warranted. The
Some would
And
say
casting.
it was absolutely electrifying.
indeed,
That was the
the
Kraken.
mere sight of it seemed to enrage Saloon, even to the point where she made a
Really?
rather careless mistake and overcharged our once paladin.
Infel just kind of sheepishly smiles and shrugs. Well,
When is there? Where is Hyestall?
she's not here yet. Anyways, I believe we will have this handled. Not
Oh, you're sure.
not to be an offense, or not to offend you, but we are quite prepared. We have quite a number of magical items that will help us. I suggest you don't worry about us.
Magic doesn't always win, as
Give me a-
Rock says through his slurred words.
Constitution saving throw. DC is 22. That's
Ooh,
the end.
nope.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do the
You're doing it?
Indomitable. Yep.
Did
Ooh.
it.
All right. That was the end of the dwarf.
Nobody beats the Rock.
To be fair, you went into it clean.
Yeah,
But also, to be fair, you have a bit less body mass.
it was kind of dead even.
As the dwarf kind of slams the mug down, he kind of sits hunched over, kind of leaning against or propping his arm against his leg. He kind of lets out a super long, wet burp. And just shakes his head and. Oh, I think you might have beat me. If I go any further, I might not wake up.
Rock pats him on the head. It's like, you can sleep now, dwarf. You did good.
You did.
I'm not sleeping. I've only just begun.
How about you take a 2-minute break?
I'm going to eat. I'm going to enjoy this steak. And then I'm going to play you a song. How's that sound?
He gives you a tail thumbs up.
What was that?
Oh, that's perfect.
He kind of looks to where the end of the tail was pointing.
He gives you a tail thumbs up again.
What are you trying to
A
do?
distraction.
He just smiles. It's like, you'll learn one day. As he's gonna hop down off the table.
All right. Eric's and Sully.
Well,
Dinner is
Other
starting.
than-
I'm sorry. Basically
other than-
breakfast for these guys.
right. For breakfast for them, dinner for us.
Yeah.
Other than small pride of Rock out drinking a dwarf with dwarven ale,
Mm-hmm.
she'd probably be interested in scooting over to the priestess and peering into the book. So, which is your patron?
I'm currently devoted to Tyr.
Oh, Yeah, I suppose that makes sense. Rock had their aid.
In what way?
He'd been poisoned, let's say, and Tyr offered aid if he upheld the tenets, which he, quite frankly, didn't really have to go out of his way to do. He does that naturally.
Really?
Yes.
It was Torm.
Oh, I'm sorry, Torm.
Yeah.
They sound similar.
Well, they are. We'll say they're changeable days, which is a good thing to some, but others are still quite devoted to one or the other.
Well, whatever makes them happy.
Yes.
Piety goes
Really, Sliba?
as it does. But you tell, on the subject of wholly overcharging, have you ever heard something like this before?
I've heard stories of gods simply pushing their servants past their limits, all in good faith, I suppose. And as heroic as that is, there is some unfortunate finality that it usually brings.
I can't imagine there are stories of recovery.
Even rarer.
Hmm.
It's something to do with the connection to the god itself, to divine entities as a whole. As it is, Saloon could be speaking, but Phil, whoever his name is simply unable to hear, unable to receive any of the magics.
That is unfortunate.
Yes.
And Sully will start to say something and then stop.
The big sad.
The big sad, like, what a... Nope.
Jesus Christ.
You have stockpiled, haven't you?
He was waiting for this day.
Was.
The chat.
Well, I suppose there truly is no perfect deity. Some are just careless with their chosen. Alone.
Mm.
Oh, what am I talking about? It's the middle of the day. She's not here. Well, don't worry about your ex anymore, Infel. If she really wants to message you, she'll, I don't know, send down another gift or write something in the sky.
Mm.
You have Zell now.
Anyways, at about this point, the dwarf, kind of swaying and kind of pushing against the table, kind of steadying himself against the table, pulls up the instrument case that he'd set against his chair. With a few heavy buckle sounds, he removes an instrument. It's very strange looking. It has a handful of strings on either side, sort of stretched across the side of what looks like a crank and a wheel. And he kind of just sets it on his lap. And after giving it a very rough very practiced tune, he begins to play. And I'm going to post the actual song. Can you simmer down, Eric's?
That's totally what he's playing.
That's not what he's playing at all. He's playing the song that I've posted in Rooms and Reptiles chat.
Is this one better for you?
Can you simmer down?
I think that's the funniest thing because it comes up with a Dove commercial.
Ooh, the hurdy-gurdy.
Yeah. Oh man, you gotta do ad block, my man.
I got to. I had it on my other computer. I just haven't done anything with this yet.
Fuck it. I'll play it.
And it is very clear about halfway through that he is definitely using magic to assist him, making it sound like there's quite a few playing at the same time. Quite a few notes of it.
The fuck is that instrument?
It is
It's
amazing.
exotic is what it was.
Sometimes I look at instruments and I'm like, who the hell came up with this design?
And
That's
quite a
what
bit of
Dr. Seuss, that too.
quite a bit of the instrument that he has is actually made of a brass-like metal, with intricate carvings of very grim-looking dwarven bearded faces. You know, gem encrusted, the whole works.
That's the instrument Rockhart would play if he was a bard.
Hell yeah.
Only his pure madness and insanity could master such a wild instrument.
Mm. It actually seems that his drunkenness is making him play better.
You know, another instrument that comes to mind, the accordion. I mean, seriously. Who came up
What a
with this?
kazoo.
A horrible thing.
You say horrible? It's amazing.
I mean, I don't mind the music that it makes. It's more of a... When I say horrible, I mean... Look at the thing.
It's true. It does look kind of... It's an ugly beautiful.
It looks rough.
It's terrible.
Can't
Yeah,
just say that,
bagpipes are another one. Love the music myself. But again, who came up with this? Now I'm kind of just sitting here like...
Just watching it.
No, I'm just thinking like, you know, who did come up with this stuff? Why would they decide... Why would they decide that the world needed an instrument like the bagpipes? The accordion, I guess I can kind of understand. It's kind of like a piano, a mobile piano, kind of.
You know who? People who got irritated at their neighbors doing something and decided to put air in a pipe and then put it in a bag. And they decided to become musically talented at it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that is it. That would be a logical explanation. Perhaps most of these instruments were only designed for the sole purpose of annoying the hell out of neighbors.
Boom! Dropped you some bucket lizard knowledge on you.
But yeah, he basically plays a handful of songs just like that with very sort of looping backing tracks. Clearly some bardic magic's at play here. And Sully, you are quite frankly amazed. It's pretty dang good. It actually gathers a small group of the Coles who were previously kind of avoiding the strange newcomers and being the shy little devils that they normally are. And it manages to draw a small crowd in the time that he's able to play before he kind of just sort of slumps off into a very deep like nap. And after everything kind of calms down, the captain kind of looks over to the two of you and says, "I know it looks bad that we're gonna go into combat with drunk like that, but we can fix that real quick. It's okay. Plus, he's basically bulletproof to this sort of thing."
I can believe it.
Yeah.
Dwarves and all.
Oh yeah. Anyways, with him sort of being out, and well, I think my curiosity's been quite well satisfied. I think we will be on our way shortly. If you do have anything to tell us before going into this, I'm sure we can find a way for some of the money, treasures found within, to make its way back here. I'm sure a place like this could use some more money to purchase supplies and make everything a little bit nicer.
Indeed, a fledgling settlement can use what aid it can get.
Yes, yes.
However, I'll just ask for the sake of it. Do be careful where you step, because while the natives are kind, they are still sentient, and we can communicate with them. So
I see.
let's not leave a warpath, shall we?
At about this point, Ayastal kind of makes her way into the main thoroughfare and kind of sees the gathering over by the table, and kind of makes her way over calmly, kind of almost clears her throat and says to Eric's, "I think one of you guys asked for me."
Oh, yes! This is our good friend, Ayastal. Ayastal, say hello to our guests.
So they will lean over and say, "Don't worry about it. He's dead."
All happening at the same time is another very impressed, very calculating stare from the sorcerer. The captain, however, kind of stops for a moment, looks, and almost stands up, kind of rather quickly. She says, "Ayastal? Wait. Ayastal, it's you're kind
Pistol!
of inspiration.
It's Smitty! It's Smitty! Don't you recognize me? It's Smitty!
You're my inspiration. It's amazing to finally get to meet you in person. And Ayastal kind of looks over at Eric's room and says very calmly but firmly, "Please don't call me that." And the captain kind of goes, "It's an honor to meet you. Ayastal, scourge of the western skies, of the western." You remember that? That was like the coolest thing ever. Ayastal kind of, again, firmly says, "Don't call me that, please." She looks over at Sully.
He will, or she will clear her throat and say, "I understand you're very excited. However, you'll have to take a lot more care with your first impressions, Captain."
Ayastal kind of takes a deep breath looks back towards the captain, who is almost like a fangirl at this point in time. Like if she had an autograph book, she would be reaching for. I understand that you're excited, but please don't call me that.
There have been some bad experiences lately, Captain. However, I would ask that you channel your energy, because I will have you know that there are, in fact, 2 versions of this individual, we'll call.
Could you give me a charisma check?
Yes, I can.
Oh, that's high. Oh, that's very high.
Very high, you say.
And that is extremely low.
What?
Oh my god.
What is happening?
All right, so the captain kind of simmers down for a moment, saying, "I'm sorry, I got a little bit excited. Do you like my ship? I kind of modeled it after yours." And at that moment, at about the same instant, the cleric from the back, who's been kind of watching the situation, immediately like kicks her chair back and stands up, like holding out a hand. At the same exact moment that Ayastal lances out with her fist and fucking decks the captain.
Ah, shit.
She has a 1d4 because she's got metal hands. the dwarf slowly looks over as the captain kind of stumbles backwards from the quite incredible blow. Her nose kind of jutted to the side, clearly broken, as a stream of blood starts to trickle down almost immediately. She kind of reaches up, kind of dabs the blood off, and kind of looks, says, she's trying to like get a hold of her thoughts of exactly what's going on, kind of almost insulted and embarrassed at the same time. The cleric kind of reaches forward and places a hand on the captain's shoulder, and the captain almost like swats the hand off angrily. I think we'll be going now. And she kind of spits out a bit of blood and turns to leave. The cleric looks up and says, "She's normally not like this, but I thank you for all your hospitality." She nods towards the sorcerer as the sorcerer kind of sighs, clearly having wanted to get a better look at Ayastal and Gestalt. Starts to head off and follow the captain back to the ship.
Oh, but you are welcome to stay.
Oh, it's fine. She's strong-headed. Plus, she's the captain, so we kind of have to follow her around. Either way, I really sincerely thank you for your hospitality. I really look forward to visiting back when everything's cleared up, and I think I'm going to discreetly put aside some of her share for you guys here.
That would be most appreciated.
As she goes around to collect the dwarf, she kind of holds up her healing sigil, and as the dwarf kind of swats away, saying, "Oh no, not yet. Feeling quite good right now."
Rock nods at that.
Farewell, Red. red lizard man, you would make a fine drink. As he
Anytime.
stumbles upwards and starts to leave, while leaving the ale behind for a moment before, oh, he grabs it and starts to stuff it back into his satchel. He grabs the mugs as well and stuffs them inside. He says, I just do this when I get back. How about that?
He nods and goes, yes.
He's all the way we go.
Rock made a drinking buddy.
As he kind of stumbles off of the chair, kind of almost trips and falls, but the cleric catches him, and as he starts to stumble his way towards the out the gate and towards the boat, singing something faintly in Dwarven.
Eric, your hat is absurd.
And as you see them return to the boat, you see a number of healing spells from the cleric go into the captain and into the dwarf, and he seems to gain his faculties. With a creaking noise and the slosh of water, the airship is off, heading towards the center of the island.
I suppose it's good I decided not to rob them.
Rock's gonna nod to Ayastel for the mighty right hook that she gave the captain.
Farewell! Be safe on your journeys, yes! Do come back safely!
Captain.
Now then,
Are
back to
you
business
sane?
here.
Peace.
I'm gonna
they're-
pull off the top
they're
hat
gone.
and put back the captain's hat. Alright, let's get back to business. I believe we were about to go to sleep.
Yeah.
Rock's gonna mutter that mountain's gonna eat them. Because he
Yep.
hasn't told anybody what he saw.
So he's just gonna say we're never gonna see them again.
Rock looks a little sad that he lost that drinking buddy that he just made.
Oh well. They got cocky. I tried.
I tied.
Gives you a tails thumbs up as he drunkenly goes out in the middle of the opening to sober himself up the only way he knows how to.
And how's that?
By an old mercenary tradition, dunking your head in ice cold water, then banging it against a post, and then dunking it into water again. Because nothing that gets you sober than adrenaline and pain.
You know, a thought just occurred to me.
Give me a Constitution check.
Even if the dwarf does die, we can always bring him back.
Within 10 days.
I can reincarnate him. Maybe he'll wind up a kobold.
I see.
It
Yes.
doesn't seem to work in Rock, and now your head hurts a lot.
He's gonna.
Ooh.
Is it possible for his head to actually hurt?
Yes, it very much is.
Drunk Rock has dulled senses, but he's gonna scream, "You iron stone, you lied to me!" Referring back to somebody way back in the day who told him what that trick was.
Anyways. So yeah, I'm guessing you guys head to bed.
Yes.
You are very, very tired at the moment.
A very drunken Rock.
Yeah, drunken, tired Rock heads to bed. Iastal still kind of angrily staring towards where the airship is heading out. Kind of looks at her fist for a moment, wipes a bit of the errant blood off on her shirt.
Eric's will go up to Iastal. There. Alas, some people cannot understand a cue. May I offer you some...
walk over and say, "All right, Morgana, what's next?"
May I offer you some rock polish in these trying times?
Rock polish.
No. I just want to... I need to think about that.
How about an egg for these trying times?
You keep trying to push this meme. It's not working.
Hey, Raku isn't here. Somebody has to make a Sunny reference. It has to be done.
I don't think anybody does have to.
We're not contractually obligated.
No, we're not contractually obligated to make any Sunny references at any point.
The person who is not holding up his end of the bargain. I think he's gonna be hearing from his agent soon.
Yep.
Eric's will go make sure that the day watch are at their posts and ready to do their rounds and whatnot before going off to bed himself.
All right. As everyone slowly sort of drifts off, you have a somewhat different dream. Instead of the pleasant field you saw before, there's now a sort of the sun rising on an overcast sky. The sheep are still there, but they seem to be almost huddled in a corner of the pasture for warmth as temperature starts to drop, maybe rain in the distance. Otherwise, nothing seems to happen. But the sort of reoccurring like dream 2 nights in a row, that does spark some interest. And you think maybe, I don't know, maybe it's a thing. All right, you guys are awake. And you awake to a storm slowly making its way in the coast. Winds start to pick up as the kobolds start to tidy up things that could get lost in the storm, secure things that are delicate to water in the underground storeroom, and basically batten down all the hatches. Yes, we can wrap it up soon. I do have one more thing to do.
Alright.
Also, Sully's gonna be calling ISL Morgana.
He's calling Morgan.
Yep.
Alright. The next day is a tremendous storm. A vicious storm. It takes quite a bit of running around to keep the camp intact, and still, you have a few incidents where a tent is thrown away into the vicious winds. A few tents flood from the intense water coming down. You use the waterbane's rod quite efficiently and try to get everything sort of dry that needs to be dry. And almost at the climax of the storm, there is not one, not two, but 4 titanic crashes of thunder the light from it almost making it seem like daylight for even a few freaking seconds. These are momentous, like earth-shattering lightning strikes. And with those, the maybe spread maybe 20 to 30 seconds apart each, the storm starts to dissipate. And over the course of a few hours leading to dawn, the storm slowly dissipates, leading to a welcome overcast sky with a slight drizzle.
Ugh.
Tired from the exhausting efforts of keeping the settlement alive through such a storm, you basically just collapse in your beds without much socializing, much hobby work. And this is all of you sort of coming together for this. The dream, that same dream of the pasture, continues to deteriorate, almost point of no return. Where those 4 sheep in the corner, there's a dark overcast sky, the sun clearly setting somewhere behind the dense dark gray clouds. The wind is completely gone, and the dream is utterly silent. The sheep, a handful of sheep, are now eviscerated into nothing but bits of gore, smears of red on the bleak green grass. And in the middle of it is a wolf, a strong, very hardy looking wolf, gnawing on some of the bones, on some of the gristly tendons still remaining. You can't hear any of it, and it just seems to be completely silent.
Oh, they're so dead.
That's where we. I think that's a good place to end the session. As
Actually,
you all suddenly wake up as the wolf seems to slowly start to turn around to look directly at you.
I would like to cast Reincarnate, targeting the dwarf.
What's the limitations on that spell? I guarantee it has a range.
I don't think so, actually. Okay,
No,
I
don't.
have to touch the dead humanoid or a piece of them.
Yeah.
I mean,
It also requires the target's soul to be, so.
Fine. Was worth a shot.
Rock was gonna wake up and say something, but I mean,
What were you gonna say?
well, he was gonna say what he was gonna plan to do, which is also a really good cliffhanger. Also,
And what would that be?
he was gonna wake up and after having that dream, and I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to connect the dots of what that was.
No, it takes a rock scientist.
Got him.
Hey, I mean, I not know stuff. He's gonna think to Sora. Hey, I need a, like real quiet just between them two, as he looks over to Sully. It's like, I need a favor. Can you get me in connection with the Raven Queen?
And you're asking this to Sully?
No, to Sora as he looks at Sully. But quietly, like just mentally between them two.
The Raven Queen does not take kindly to requests, but I may certainly see if she's open to it.
Just tell her Rock's coming.
Oh God, Rock, what have you done to us?
I felt that from here, damn it.
Mm-mm.
I am intimately familiar with the Raven Queen, as one of the players in the Friday group was, pulled from her clutches. I've kind of been liking the idea that the two groups are actually in the same world at the same time. Just, one's over in the Moonsea region while we're on Cholt. I kind of like the idea.
Do it, man.
Well, that's between Dova and I, but she's not very happy with that group as is.
Oh, jeez.
Well, they literally just stole one of her servants from her and moved it to someone else.
I mean, look at it this way. It can't end up any worse than when Rock went with the Chimera.
Okay, Chimera versus Goddess of Death.
Eh.
Yes,
Rock
it could
died.
go much, much, much worse.
It's Rock. He's fine. He'll be fine.
Anyways.
Her woman's intuition says I should keep an eye on you.
You should probably listen to that.
Your wife's intuition at this point.
I'm just waiting for the ceremony. Also, there is actually, in Xanathar's Guide to Everything, there is a ceremony spell with a marriage ceremony.
Yes, I know of it.
And it gives nice
We'll
bonuses.
probably do it after Schultz. After we're not being assailed, we'll say.
Probably a good idea.
Mm-hmm. Probably last longer.
Yeah,
And-
they would not have made it out alive if not for a near intervening with influence from their trip to the place I can't remember, the Shadowfell.
Wait, what?
Oh yeah, yeah.
The
yeah.
other group, the Friday.
Oh, the other group. Okay. I thought you were like, wait, when did we go to the Shadowfell? I've only missed like 2 games.
Alright, everybody. Thank you all so much for joining us this evening. Rooms and Reptiles Dungeons and Dragons is canceled for next week. The January 1st, it is a possibility. Some of us may be able to be here for it, some may not. We'll see what happens then. But for sure, we're not going to be here on Christmas. Thank you all so much for joining us. I will be back tomorrow with something. I don't remember what I had scheduled. I am tired for some reason. But anyways, thank you all for joining. I bid you all adieu.
Farewell.
Bye, everybody.
Have a good night.
Bye-bye! That was my shitty attempt at doing
It's
that.
not the same.
I know.
Had to do it.
I had to attempt.
That we are contractually obligated to do.
Yes.
No,
I
we're
think
only
I'm going
contractually
to-
obligated to interrupt each other and the DM at least 5 times in an hour.
Possibly. Anyways, thank you all for joining. Merry Christmas.